My house doesn't work anymore, and there's no place to go.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
Hello, I'm Yetta Decker.
And I'm Ken Decker.
And we're excited to be with you on another episode of Life's Inside Track, where we share techniques, thoughts, tools, and even some tips that make our house home where our families thrive and we live the best life possible.
You know what's interesting, Yetta? Is even though our sellers sometimes say there's no place to go, there is a record number of sales happening. So somebody's finding properties to buy.
Somebody must be. And so what you're going to learn on this episode is how you can actually get a great property even in the midst of a seller's market.
Yeah, we recently helped a client, and this was a little bit sad because it was a divorce situation. And
it was very sad. It always is, even if it's what they need to be doing. And so that's the part that I find tricky. It's a sad situation, and yet we have to come in, or we get to come in and make the best of it.
Yes.
Make the best of a difficult
and
time.
Really, those people have made a decision that they're going to start over. They're going to have a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
And we're part of that. We're part of the closing the chapter of the family home, matrimonial home, and finding another home. And now in this particular case, normally you would want, probably in this case, to buy first before you sell. But because it was a divorce, they needed to sell first. And so we put the house up on the market. We got a great price for them. And then it was a matter of, what do we do now? Because we had a certain amount of time.
And it's not so much that the thought just came to us after they'd sold the house. What do we do now? Like we had been thinking and strategizing and working on that for quite a bit of time, and seeing property and matching which ones would work and looking at the bigger picture to be able to go, okay, when the home sells, because it needs to sell now. And so we were able to sell it quickly and for a premium. And so that can really help if you're in a difficult situation, whether it's this situation or an entirely different situation where maybe finances aren't going as far as they used to, or you need to relocate for work, or there is a different situation causing the need to move, or that it's a good time to move. Regardless of the situation, you want to be proactive. So we were being incredibly proactive, as was the client, because ultimately, if the client's not being proactive, it doesn't matter how proactive we as realtors are being, it doesn't work. So we were doing the work.
Yeah, we were looking at properties. And in her price range, because he had decided he would rent, she wanted to buy another property. And it was very difficult to find something that didn't need a lot of maintenance in her price range. And finally, what happened was I was able to get a builder to agree to her pricing and build a property that would work for her and her family, her unique situation. And then now the problem with the build is it was going to be 8 months out. So then where do you find temporary accommodation and be able to keep the kids in the same school district? And so I was able to find her a short-term rental, 8-month rental, that really met her needs.
Right.
So it just feels good to be able to walk with people and support them. And sometimes it was down to the wire almost, where you're thinking, I found a place, but then it fell through. Like, not me, but she found a place to rent, and then that fell through. And so she was getting a little nervous near the end.
Yeah, and so it can feel risky, but having somebody walk through the journey and look at all the viable options. She almost moved in with us, except we weren't in the same school district. So that kind of alleviated that being ideal. And yet often it can be really, really good to buy first and then sell in a seller's market. And yet if your situation doesn't allow for it, there are alternatives. And this was one alternative, short-term rental. Often, especially in a seller's market, we're able to negotiate a really long close
on the purchase, yeah.
on the purchase. And because you can negotiate a long close on the purchase, it gives you on the sale. On the sale.
Either way.
And then it gives you more time to go looking, is really the point. Having lots of flexibility is what we're looking to build in the seller's market.
Yeah. So right? ideally you want to buy first with a little bit longer closing, so we have time to sell their
quickly.
Property. Right. And, it's an interesting market. I was actually speaking to a realtor the other day. I mean, we're kind of long in the tooth. I'm 26 years, you're 31 years in the industry.
Yeah, I guess it's coming up to 32. I think we're moving on up in terms of the number of years in the industry. So when we meet somebody that says, yeah, that's nothing. 1967 was the year he became licensed and still thriving in the real estate industry, dealing with the board of directors, involved in making it better for the realtors and clients alike, which is phenomenal. Something you get to do.
Yeah, and this gentleman, who's also a manager, said that it's the toughest season he's seen for realtors in his career since 1967.
Right. And when he said toughest for realtors, what he's really saying is it's the toughest market for sellers and buyers to navigate. So what he was getting at was having somebody that knows various strategies, has actually experienced it themselves. I mean, there was a time when we bought a home and didn't quite have somewhere to go. We had somewhere to go, but we hadn't sold our home, which can be a scary situation.
And that was not a seller's market. That was a mistake.
That was a big mistake. So you want to use your strategy according to the market you're in, not borrow a strategy that once worked in a different time, in a different place, in a different market, because it is the strangest market. And yet most of our clients are able to go door to door from selling the property to the one they're moving to. And then we always want to have that conversation up front at the strategy session. Yeah, a strategy session. In any market, you want a strategy session. Shake your head. Yes, a strategy session in any market. It's not just about going to get a house or sell a house. It's about doing it with the most wisdom humanly possible and thinking about for your specific family. Do you have a family member that will take you in? Do you have a situation where putting furniture in storage is a great thing to do? Do you have a lake house you can go to that, although it may be a little bit further of a drive, it gives you somewhere to store things so you don't have to have a storage unit? Do you be okay with a rental, short-term rental? Do we have somebody that can rent you a short-term rental? What clients do we have that can access that? So having somebody that has a lot of contacts and a lot of different strategies they've lived can really help actually it can't really help. It is the help. It is the difference maker often.
And I think what's happening is in this market, as he said, it's the toughest for real estate agents. It's also tough for buyers.
That's what I was saying.
But what's interesting is we're having fun, even though not fun because it's tough on the buyer or the seller. We're having fun because it takes creativity and problem solving skills to navigate this market, which makes it fun for us. It's a challenge, and we thrive on a challenge. And we thrive on serving and helping you.
Yeah, big time. So they say what? What do they say about timing?
Well, they say timing is everything. And then again, what I say is there's never a bad time to make a right decision for you and your family.
We're grateful to be your partners in moving forward together.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.